According to the New York Times, about 40,000 people have died by a firearm in 2018. That is about 1,000 deaths more than 2017. Now I'm going to take a personal story and I'm going to explain to you why I think guns should be banned. So I had a story about a family friend, a brother who was about 28. He owned a 9mm. I don't know the specific name of the gun, but he was cleaning it and he killed himself on accident. Now, I was just thinking, like, wow, like, that gives me a lot of feels because, like, he didn't mean to do it and he didn't want to do it, but it happened. And to me, that's just like thinking, like, for everyone that owns a gun, like, that could be you and that could be a problem. And today I'm here to say why guns should be banned with 3 ideas. An increase in firearm suicide, an increase in the risk of school shooting, and then an increase to harm for others. So suicide, it takes the lives of over 44,965 Americans every year by a firearm, or not by a firearm. Nearly 22,000 people died by a firearm through suicide, which is close to about 50% of the deaths from a firearm. So to me, that basically explains a lot. Basically, it shows that having a firearm can increase in suicide, which is harm to yourself, which I don't see a reason why you should do that for yourself, and that's why I believe it should be banned. And then I also have a personal story about a friend who tried to kill himself. His father owned, a 9mm. He was able to get into the vault and take it, and he had it in his drawer, and he wrote a note that when he was coming back, he was going to kill himself. Thankfully, the maid that was cleaning his room saw the gun in his drawer and obviously contacted the parents, and I was very fortunate for him not to go through that thing where my other close friend did go through. Now I want to talk about the increase of risk in school shootings. I mean, most everyone knows about the Florida shooting, and he was using an AR-15, which was a legal gun, and that just shows me that having a legal gun anywhere, gives access to anyone. Anyone can steal it, anyone can buy it off of them, anyone can even just try and get in and take it. And to me, that's just like kind of crazy. That's why I believe that guns should be banned. And I want to also go for another school shooting, which was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting on December 14th, 2012, by Adam Lanza. He killed 26 people, 20 children, and 6 staff, and then himself, which is a perfect example to show you that owning a gun can give you personal harm and even harm others, because it's like people change. You never know the time of change. You never know, like, one day you could be this, one day you can be that. You can't, and to other people, one day they can change, and you can't see what they're thinking. You might not even know what you're thinking at that time. And so, like, having that risk of owning a gun is just like, it's a big risk, because having that risk is just basically increasing in different rates for suicide or for school shootings, even just drive-bys. I had not a friend of mine, but one of my dad's friend's son was walking home in Long Beach from school. He's a normal kid. He's not a bad kid. Nothing happened. But he got caught in the middle of a drive-by and he died. And that just like personally shows me like why I believe guns should be banned. In conclusion, we talked about suicide, school shootings, and even having the risk to harm others. I want to leave off with just saying, just think before you by or think before you want to go with this, because I believe that guns should be banned. And thank you.
Weren't we supposed to talk on Thursday?
Yeah.
On Thursday I did my speech about why guns should be less banned. That's fine. No, but it would have been cool. We would have after each other.
Jehun, what did you think?
So I like your statistics for attention, and then you said your thesis, it sounds like, and then personal story about family friend that got that became an accident, and that was really grabbed our attention, or my attention, but that was really sad. And then you had a clear preview for the suicide, school shooting, and harm to others. And we got right into the first paragraph about suicide. You gave us a statistic. When it would be nice, I think, if you cited where your statistics came from. Maybe?
Yeah.
Alright, you told us, and then you had another personal story about two friends, and that was it worked well with that speech. And then you also started with the school shooting, and you talked about the Florida one, and I like that you told us about the specific gun that was used.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sandy Hook, you told us about the death toll, and then you got straight into the third one, the third paragraph, and I found like maybe a more clear transition might have been nice. And then at the conclusion, you reviewed the main points, and you stated that you think guns should be banned. One thing is maybe sometimes you didn't look over here that much, or sometimes you looked right before the other's not quite making eye contact, or you during the second paragraph, I think you had like a stepping thing. You were stepping like back and forth, but and sometimes your hands were close to you, or like you did the clapping thing, but overall it was really nice, and you seemed to know what you were talking about, and you went really quite smoothly. Good job.
All right, well, I think you start with a pretty clear statement of your position. You've got a statistic that you're using to get our attention. You've got a story to follow up on. We know exactly what your point of view is. You've got a preview, so you're solid at the start of the presentation. It does sound like it's all about the problem. I don't really hear much about the solution. You say the solution is to ban guns, but this is the thing that's missing. There's no demonstration that a ban would be effective, that it is practical, that it would produce the outcome that you're talking about. There's no information to suggest that this is a solution to the problem. It's like saying, well, let's ban heroin because there are thousands of people who die from heroin overdoses every year. So let's ban that. And I'm going, well, how'd that work out for us? That's the problem. You need to make an argument here that says that this would have the effect of reducing these kinds of crimes. So there's no doubt that guns are a part of the activity that goes on, but you want to fix that, and it's like, well, waving a wand and saying, well, so let's just make it stop, doesn't necessarily show us how it could in fact stop. The suicide thing, for instance, is an interesting one from my perspective, because I'm going, well, if you want to commit suicide and you simply take away the gun, does that mean that they no longer have the desire to commit suicide anymore?
Yeah.
And they don't have a means to do that? You don't have an argument about that. And there are arguments
I wanted to
about
say
those,
that.
and they just don't get developed. And of course, there are negative consequences too. And you know, like Caden's mentioned, he was sitting here talking the other day about self-defense issues and about the Second Amendment, and those are important issues that don't ever get mentioned in your presentation. And so there are potential reservations and issues that somebody who feels differently about the point would be saying, well, you don't even talk about those kinds of things. So I think that that's a bit problematic. I do think that your presentation is actually pretty solid. You speak directly to us. Your eye contact is solid. You seem engaged. I didn't notice the clapping thing that she's talking about, but I'm sure that if I went back and looked at it, it would jump out and pay attention to me, or I'd pay attention to it. All right, so that's where we'll stop there.